right, everybody, welcome to the Chadman and Randy Show. You know, we had a good weekend. Friday and Saturday we went and saw the Aviators. I saw them Friday. Randy and I both went on Saturday and saw them here play Monte Carlo. We're promoting Freedom Fest. And woke up Sunday morning and just absolute chaos all over social media. I checked Reddit. Reddit was just blown up with all this news of a shooting going down. You know, I had heard it briefly right before I went to bed that night. You know, because typically when I lay in bed, I'll watch the news and just, you know, go to sleep watching this mainstream media. I caught the news of it, and I didn't realize until the morning just how bad it was. And, you know, we witnessed our nation's largest shooting attack this weekend. And so this episode today, we are literally just past it, so we're not going to get into it right now because we had a very special guest in the studio today, but we will be talking about it in depth in about a day or two with an immediate release. Let's just hit it real briefly that there's a serious problem going on. A serious problem in this country right now with radical Islamists, with people who are radicalized in general. It's not just Islamists, man. There's people who are radicalized in general, and there's people who believe that guns are a problem, which we can go into that as well. I mean, there's so many depths that this, I guess the correct thing to say right now is that there's a huge problem, dude. And
yeah, the thing is they don't even know what surgery to perform to, you know, take this thing out. I mean, the weird thing about this is with the groups that you have involved, these are like hot button. And the funny thing is they weren't even, Obama wasn't even able to, like, he didn't know what to do with the word hate crime. Because that is a hate crime.
At least he came out and he said this was an act of terror, which I guess I don't like giving him any credit, but I will. He's never done that before. Not with the guy in Oklahoma who cut the lady's head off. Not with the shooting attack. Well, any of the shooting, San Bernardino, the one in Virginia, none of them. He's called them terror until now. So I guess that's a start. But he's out of office.
I was gonna say that's lame duck shit. You know what that is. They got no.
I think in the next couple days I'm trying to get a hold of a group in Bakersfield. They're a group of gays who believe in the Second Amendment and protecting themselves. I'm trying so hard to get a hold of this group. They accepted me into their group on Facebook. I had to come out real quick and be like, hey, look, I'm not gay. But because, you know, as soon as everybody, especially Randy, were to see, hey, Chad's joining, you know, the Pink Pistols. No, man, I reached out to him because I want to talk to him about this whole issue, so I'm trying so hard to get them on. If we can get them on Wednesday, we'll get that pushed out immediately, and we'll get to hear from a homosexual who believes in the Second Amendment and talk about this tragic event in depth, because now is not the time. Because in studio, one of the most important men in my life who not only inspired me as a young adolescent, as a young teenager, troublemaker, you know, high school student, but somebody who throughout the years has just always been a huge positive force in my life. Finally got to come in the studio and come on the show. All you guys listening right now who went to Stockdale with me, who know him, all of you listening right now who he shared the link with and have had him either in high school or college, I present to you Professor Michael Mastani. How are you?
Man, I couldn't be better. What a treat to be with these two bright lights.
We're going to try and keep it, you know, we're going to try and keep this somewhat PG-13 because I know you have a lot of people who are probably going to listen to this, and I don't want to really scare them off too much, but it's an honor to have you here on our show, man. Thank you so much. And you know what? I just got to say, before we even get started, thank you for the insane amount of positive reinforcement you've given me since I was literally like 14 years old. I mean, it's been amazing. I know it took me a while to pull my head out my ass, but here I am, and I owe a lot of it to you, man, and thank you.
Well, Chad, you're way too kind, but the whole point was I saw pure gold and I saw fire in the belly, and fire in the belly is probably what drives the Chadman and Randy show right now.
It's a lot of
and
emotion.
I think that's a good thing. You know, I'm 72, and man, I want to have fire in my belly till I go out.
You got to, and I think what you're referring to is passion.
That's exactly right.
I think when I was a teenager, I think I didn't know what my passion was. I just had it.
Yeah.
At the time, I was always just running my mouth, and it was getting me in trouble. And it was, I think
nothing's changed.
Yeah, and I think you were telling Randy, before the show that I was a pistol.
But I meant that in the best possible.
Yeah, but
light.
it was because I didn't really know where I was doing, and I ended up becoming a father my senior year, which was kind of I call it a mistake because it was a mistake not using my head.
Overused one of them.
Yeah, but I joined the military right afterwards, and we lost contact, and those were the days before Facebook and MySpace and social media, and I remember it must have been probably 2004, 2005. I got on MySpace and started messing around on Facebook shortly after, and that's where we linked up. And I want to say 2007 maybe, and ever since then, it's just every day. I just seeing you do what you do, and whether it's with your cars or just all the artwork you do or your teaching, and then just interacting with you and your students, the effect that you've had on all of your students. And I know I speak for all of you out there listening, is you've just been an amazing man, a positive person inside and out. So,
but,
thank
Chad,
you.
I thank you for the effect you've had on me. People forget that students have effects on their teacher or professor. And that's why I did it for 50 years. I just concluded my 50th year on May 13th.
Yeah, you just retired recently.
Exactly a month ago.
So it hasn't even hit you yet, huh?
No, it still hasn't, because I don't feel retired.
Yeah.
And the reason is I have contact from students I've had since 1966 on.
Yeah, we share a mutual friend, which I found out last year, Brant Cotton.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. And Brant and I have been and I hadn't seen Brant until I ran into him on social media. And the next thing you know, we've had coffee together 2 or 3 times. I've been to 2 of his shows.
And then you get to see mutual friends.
Yeah, amazing. It's been like a gift from God. So every time anybody says anything bad about Facebook, I just say there are 2 words: hide, delete.
Yeah.
Make Facebook work for you as a social media thing so that you keep connection with those people who are significant.
I do a really good job at that. I also do a really good job at, I think, kind of pushing the boundaries with it. But it goes
every once in a while. You gotta purge the list a little bit and see if you can. I do it every once in a while. I mean, I'll be like, let's go trolling. Let's see if I can get somebody on the line here, and I'll just throw something out there stupid. And people will know it, and they'll message me, and they'll, got one, don't you? And I'm serious. I'm fishing when I'm doing it.
As podcast hosts, we talk about so much controversial stuff. We talk about...
That's good.
I mean, since we've done this, I've lost friends. I don't want to say burn bridges, but, when you start putting your opinion out there, really kind of starts to affect relationships. But so social media is a huge aspect of what we do. Whenever I get out of line, you're the first one to tell me. You're like, all right, buddy.
I hope you haven't minded.
No, I love it. Are you kidding me? I love it.
Dialogue. I'll say, hey, rein it in, or hey, what are you talking about, dude?
No, you're Professor M. That's how I refer to you.
It cracks me up from the distance just to get his face slapped a little bit and just laugh.
Yeah, because it's very rare that happens. And there's
I don't ever slap his face. What I do is I'm going to share a line with you that's worked for me as a professor. And because I deal with a lot of strong opinions. Can you imagine, boys?
Yeah.
They paid, here's $50,000. I want to get my doctorate or my master's, and don't be telling me what to do or how to think.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. But I have a statement for you. I want you to learn how to afflict the comfortable.
Right.
And comfort the afflicted. Wow. Now, that's a balance in life we all have to practice.
And it's not easy.
No.
Not
because
easy at all.
I will forget to comfort the afflicted.
Right.
I don't have a problem at all about goosing somebody and say, get off the dime. You need to start thinking for yourself.
Right.
And have an opinion. Because I can't... the worst offense at university, Randy, is to have a writer that has no voice.
Yeah,
they will assemble and stitch together facts, and nobody knows what the hell they're talking about. Have an idea about what you want to say and where you're going to go with it, even if you don't believe it. And start going for it.
This is the man, Randy, that was telling me that, literally, almost verbatim, telling me that when I was 14, 15 years old. And at the time, I didn't know what you meant. I appreciated it, and I knew it was powerful. I was like, man, what he's telling me is powerful. And I took bits and pieces of it, but those words right there at a young age really lit the fire in me, man. And my voice, being in the Army, and I want to hear all about your Army story. We're gonna get on to that. But
it's gory.
Being in the being in the Army, believe it or not, actually gave me a voice. And whereas like I had limitations, I grew to, I guess, appreciate the fact that I had limitations. And now that I'm out, now that I'm medically retired, the voice that you always told me to have, I have it. It's there. It's definitely there. So thank you, man. I can't.
But you know what happens, Chad? Even when you have the voice, as you get older, and you're seeing that with the rise of your son and your soon-to-be son, that you're finding out that you have the opportunity to modulate.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with modulation, as long as you know exactly in your heart who you are and what you want to say. And if you modulate it, it means that you're getting your message out so that you can actually encourage dialogue instead of polarize. There's a big difference between dialogue and polarization. And I think your show is beginning to do that. You're creating dialogue, bud.
We
Both
love
you
it.
and Randy.
We
Good
love
for
it.
you.
We love Randy and I think, started this as a means because everybody has a story. We both agreed on that. And we wanted to talk about things that maybe the radio's talk show host didn't want to talk about. Maybe the average person didn't want to talk about, but they'd still want to hear.
Yeah.
And it's working for us, man, right? I mean, we love it.
We didn't want to be formatted. Didn't want to be told what we could do, what we can't do.
Because I got a mouth on me. I mean, I cuss, man, and it's just part of the way I was grown. I mean, I was raised by a redheaded Italian woman. So I mean, like,
you're talking to an Italian.
Yeah, exactly. So.
When I'm watching a murder mystery, or like if you're watching on regular TV, and somebody goes up and they're like, "Oh, fiddlesticks, we found another body," people don't talk like that. It's, it doesn't happen. It's not real.
And and it's a turnoff to some. I understand that. The other day, I posted on Facebook. I said, "If you really know me, tell me something you. If you really know me." Comment below something I would say. I think everybody said, fuck, because I use that. I
did.
Yeah, even you did. I use that word just to kind of bring emphasis on what I'm talking about,
okay.
and it's not classy, I guess, to some people, but we love the podcast format. We can do it here in my house. If you guys notice, you hear there's a gardener out front, and I told him not to come on Monday mornings, but there he is blowing his blower, so that's what you hear in the background. But I could record here at my house. We built the studio here, and we bring people in and we have dialogue and we hear stories. We've talked to so many amazing people in the 6-7 months we've been here that it just makes us want to do more and more and more. Now we're doing shows. We got Freedom Fest going on. It's starting to turn into something really special. And to have you here is awesome. So I want to ask you the golden question that I've always wanted to ask you. What is your Army story? Because before you were a teacher and a professor, you were in the Army.
Big time.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
I'll just start right from the beginning.
Yeah.
I was a 6th grade teacher in Oildale, California, at Standard Elementary.
Okay.
In 6th grade. Well, we had the lottery. And that's what happened when you were, you were eligible for the draft. I won the lottery. I was the first 50 numbers drawn. I think I was 50.
In Bakersfield?
Yeah, in Bakersfield.
Wow.
And in Oildale.
My dad went too, from the same area. He was in Oildale too. So. Yeah.
And guess what? I won the second lottery. I was one of the only Marines drafted.
Uh-oh.
So I got drafted as a Marine, and I went to the reception station in Fresno on, I still remember it, January 27th. Boy, you don't forget those days.
Mm-hmm.
Like your kid's birth and when you suddenly realize you're in the Army now. So I'm sitting there in the reception station with probably 199 future Marines. You don't know what that's like when you get to the reception station and they say, okay, we're all going to Pendleton and you're all Marines.
Why was I thinking you were in the Army?
Because I was.
Okay.
And
all right.
Here's what happened.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there with all these future jarheads, and this big old first sergeant comes out, and he starts to say, okay, now we're going to take the oath, whatever it is that you have to do to be enlisted. Not be enlisted, I mean.
Well, you take that initial oath at reception, yeah.
Yeah. So we're getting ready to do it, and the phone rings. And I'm going, oh, I wonder what that's all about, because he's stopping to go get the phone. And then he comes back and he goes, is there a Mustagny in the group here. And here was my dad as I left for the reception station. Do not volunteer for anything. Do not raise your hand. Shut the hell up.
Was your dad a military guy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's the best advice you can give
So
anybody.
he said, and so here I am at a reception station, and the first sergeant says to 200 men, is Mustagny here? Oh, God. Do I answer? So I go, yeah, Sergeant, I'm Mustagny. I didn't correct him. I learned early on. Let them say anything they want.
Uh-huh, yep.
So he goes, there's a phone call for you from some colonel in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Oh, no. What's that all about? I don't know any colonel in Washington, D.C.
Right.
So remember, the intelligence services, it's never dull, boys. So I take the call, and this colonel says to me, he says, you know, you have a degree in French, and you have Spanish and Latin, and you have another degree. He says, do you really want to be a Marine enlistee? And I go, I have a choice. And he goes, yeah. He says, I'm offering you an enlistment, a 4-year enlistment into the Army Security Agency. We want to use your language skills. And I go, let me see. Marine, frontline infantry, and language. You know, that language sounds really good. And 199 future Marines got on the buses and went to Pendleton. I still took the oath.
Right.
And I sat there for 2 hours, and a lonely little bus pulls up out of nowhere from Fort Ord.
Right over here on the coast.
Yeah, and that bus picks me, the only passenger, and takes me to infantry. And so suddenly I went through basic training infantry and then advanced infantry.
Okay.
And then after advanced infantry, they sent me to language school to learn a 4th language.
Was that out there in Monterey?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So then I went through a year of Chinese Mandarin. And boys, this is almost as hard as combat. I'm not trying to minimize combat.
No, yeah.
But here's the deal. They do this immersion thing. So you go to Chinese class, you have 6 different professors from 6 different areas in China on purpose.
Oh.
So that you hear every possible dialect and etc. Now, here's the hard part. I started with either 12 or 13 dudes in the class. We had FBI, CIA, Air Force, Naval Security Group, a Marine, and me. So it was every service and every intelligence group had a student in that class. Well, it was bizarre. What happens that you go your first day, it's like you jump into a shark-infested pool, and there are 6 Chinese sharks. And the deal is that every period, I hope this isn't going on too far.
I got this image. No, keep going. I just got this image in my head of a Chinese shark.
Yeah, probably. Ordering chow mein. Okay, anyway.
With a hat.
Yeah. So I didn't know this, but after every period starting the first day, that professor had to grade you on a 100-point scale. Okay. And they would write it on a little sheet. And then at the end of the day, you had 6 separate grades from 6 different professors. And if anybody in that class fell below the average of 85 after averaging the 6 hours, they were pulled that day.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Do you know what it was like?
Attrition rate, yeah.
Yeah, and you don't know.
Yeah.
They came and got that
Well, you
student.
could read the grade.
No, they never tell you your grade.
There was a picture.
Yeah, well, believe it or not, you're right, because they're all Chinese characters. And you didn't know. So you had to suddenly go, man, I got to really hit this hard. And by the end of a week, we were down to 10. And by the end of 6 weeks, we were down to 7.
Oh, man.
And by the end of 36 weeks, our original 7, we felt like the 7 samurai in that bad old movie.
Yeah.
Because we had survived 36 weeks of that kind of intense grading where you never knew what your grade was.
Did the Army guy beat out the Marine guy? Tell me he felt, please.
We did not know our class ranking until the final week, on week 52, of what our class ranking is. And boys, I was last.
Oh, it's all good. Army's there.
No.
It's cool. It
got better. We took our final exam. I placed first.
There you go. See, that's how the Army works.
So, man, I tell you what, it was the daily grades. I suffered. I did my best, but when it came to talking Chinese, I loved that, and I actually learned to like it.
Yeah, I remember in high school, sophomore year, you brought somebody from China to come visit us, and the entire class was done in Chinese, and I remember just looking at, I think it was Andrew Krause.
I remember Andrew.
Yeah, I remember
on Facebook with him.
Yeah, I remember a couple other guys. We were just like laughing the whole time, like, what is this guy? For 50 minutes, we got some guy speaking Chinese. And I now looking back, I know what you were doing, but at the time it was hysterical. We didn't know what was going on.
Oh, I know, but it was.
And you had us write about it, but that's cool. So what happened? You get sent to Vietnam?
I was too sensitive because not only did I complete that school,
right
when I finished, because Chinese Mandarin speakers, Nixon and Kissinger, were negotiating relationship with China, as a way of maybe ending the war in Vietnam, but establishing the fact that we could be trade partners instead of enemies.
Right, yeah.
And it was Mao Zedong was declining. So it's interesting that Mao Zedong and I would have any kind of coordination, but here's what happened. They had so few Chinese Mandarin speakers who were blue-eyed and, brown-haired then.
Right.
And so what happens, they didn't know what to do with us. They didn't know how to do it because they were trying to be sensitive about where are they going to place us? Am I going to be at NSA or am I going to be in the field?
Right.
And they couldn't put any Mandarin speakers in the field because we would know too much, because not only did I leave Fort Devens, can you believe it? This is the Army. You boys would relate. They sent me all the way to Boston, Fort Devens, to just park. I was there for 2 months, temporary duty, TDY. I haven't said TDY since 1970. And so I'm sitting there, and I have nothing to do.
Sounds about right.
Government efficiency.
Yeah. So, they had me I became a platoon sergeant. And my job was I would march young troops to class and then pick them up and march them back. And they had to all march in formation. Boys, you'd never live until you've seen the professor here try to march 80 19-year-olds in one direction. But, I learned something about leadership in that first week I was marching troops. I was marching this group of ragtag boys that they had just been out of basic, and so they still didn't have much sense about them, about marching in formation, blah, blah, blah. At least my crew didn't. And I'm getting so frustrated. I'm going, God, they're just not paying attention to me. I suck at this. And we're marching to class, and all of a sudden a Jeep comes pulling up, and this major, who is 5'4", I'm not kidding, built like a fire plug, literally a fire plug with a weird hat. And he was the battalion commander. And you know what he did? He taught me something then and there. And Chad, I may have shared it with you. I've shared it with countless men. He said, I want you to believe that you're in charge.
Yeah, so that's a key.
And he says, and if you believe it, they'll believe it. He didn't rip my ass. He helped me. Yeah. I've never forgotten him. And he said, you just take that voice of command and actually believe that you're in charge.
Yeah.
And he got back in his Jeep. I did that, and no sooner did I believe that, and I'm not telling you, it was like somebody giving me the key to the kingdom, because all of a sudden, my troops were in line, marching forward, and they did everything they were supposed to.
It's that confidence. They see it.
Yeah, but it isn't ego. That's what I like.
It's not ego.
What I learned there, Randy, and it helped me so much, was just believing that we need to have somebody in charge,
right?
So that we'll all go forward, and
somebody's got to stand first in the line.
That's exactly right. And that helped me for teaching from then on.
Yeah, you never had an ego. And I think that's why I think students would agree they enjoyed going to your class. It wasn't like, oh, I got Mastani for the next period or something. We enjoyed going because, even though we may have been reading the Odyssey, right? Or whatever was on the.
I hated teaching English, but I didn't hate teaching.
Yeah, exactly. And even if it was art, because I had you for both. Even though that was on the curriculum, you would spend an hour talking about something completely different, but would tie it in to what we were doing. You just had your own way of doing it, and it was
my life story.
It was enjoyable. It was really enjoyable, man.
Well, I didn't have the pleasure of having you, but we had other teachers where they'd be talking about something for a long time, and I get it from you. The feeling that you'd be in a class and you'd be like, I don't know what the hell this guy's talking about. And then before you'd walk out and you, shit, I learned something, and didn't how it related back into whatever your point that you're trying to come across.
Yeah.
With. And that's the best way. That was always the most interesting way. And once you figured out when a guy was doing that, you'd be like, it's kind of like watching a magic trick. Like, let me see where they're going. Let me see where this is going,
You're learning stuff that I guess you're going to school for, but you're also learning things about life. You're learning, just hearing stories.
Not trying to pass a test.
Yeah, exactly. You're
learning. You're not
tests.
You're not test taking.
You're not trying to test taking. Exactly. You're learning something, and you're walking away from it with a little bit of knowledge. Your brain is just soaked up.
My goal, whether I was teaching 4th grade at Highland Elementary in Oildale or teaching doctoral students at Chadman University, is always to find out, what do you know? I'm going to ask you a question that's going to be searching, and I'm going to squeeze your butt until you suddenly think for yourself and get this, that you have process, that you have a beginning, you have a middle, and you have an end.
And you can critical think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so then when I finish your essays, like professors that worked for me, I said, there are 2 things you need to know. Do they have a controlling purpose to their thinking? And do they have a bell ringer of an ending? So that they know that when they finish whatever statement they're making, that they believe what they're saying, because you'd be surprised how much wishy-washy crap is out there. There are wishy-washy people in life. They're going to wait for Chadman and Randy to tell them how to think.
Right.
But you don't want that.
Yeah.
You want dialogue that you guys grow as well. It's like a friend of mine, ex-student at West High. He's a teacher in Berkeley, of all places, and he and I disagree on everything from soup to nuts.
Oh, I just say it was Berkeley, and I was like, yeah, I can see how that goes.
But I'm very fond of this kid.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he always writes to me, he goes, boy, we're not on the same page, and I know, and I'm going to tell you that.
Right.
Because there's always the off chance that you're going to say something that I'm going to learn from. And like today, I wrote him about something, and I said, you're right on, I believe that. So what do you know? We actually agree on something. I don't hear him saying he's going to agree with me very often because, remember, I'm a Dodger fan, and the boy is diehard Giants, and oh, my God, makes me want to almost taste my breakfast for a 3rd time.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I left Devon's because what happened is the Army, in their infinite wisdom, decided they were going to make me more saleable to the intelligence community, so they sent me to the Air Force base in Texas called Goodfellow. And Goodfellow specializes in training special ops in cryptography and cryptoanalysis.
Wow.
So not only did I have Chinese Mandarin, I had to become a crypto dude, and I learned cryptoanalysis and all of that stuff. And so I graduated with those MOSs. So here I am, MOS full, but nothing to do because I'm too sensitive now. Because not only do I have the Mandarin going on, and guys, here's what happened. Mandarin in Chinese school, I had to learn all of the military maneuvers. So that if I'm translating, I could relate to a field commander, hey, look, they're bringing tanks in.
Like simple battle drills and stuff.
That's
too.
exactly
Yeah.
what. I could actually tell them what the battle plan was.
Right.
Because it isn't just like, oh, how was your weekend? What'd you have for dinner?
Right.
You had to actually be prepared to discuss what kind of planes were flying, what kind of troops were on the ground. Mm-hmm. It was really wild, boys.
That's amazing to hear that. I never knew. It's one of those things about you I always wanted to ask.
Well, now you get to.
Now I get to.
And I'll get a call from NSA as soon as I hang up this radio show with you.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I'm already on their watch list.
Well, that's a good thing.
Wouldn't doubt it. See,
so there you go. So you suddenly become top secret code word, whether you wanted to be or not. And So then I ended up getting orders, and instead of getting orders to Vietnam, I got orders to Korea. And I really wondered about that until I realized I was too sensitive to be in Vietnam. They didn't want me captured. They didn't want any Mandarin speaker captured in Vietnam.
They spent too much money on your training.
Oh, my gosh. And so what did they do? They made me a courier, and I would carry top-secret message traffic. Because, see, we didn't have computers and all that stuff then. So we had paper traffic, boys, that I would get in a helicopter and fly from one base to another, or I hate to say it, but I would get on a little Lear jet that would be masquerading as a civilian aircraft, and guess what? It wasn't. And then I would be dropped off.
Shocking.
I know you're shocked. So then I'd be dropped off, and you would leave it. I had a little drama there. When I got to Korea, again, they didn't know what to do with me right away. And what it is that the Army moves very slowly. And you boys know that.
Hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait. It's our motto. Yeah. Everybody knows that.
Don't move quick, but then you're sitting there waiting.
Oh, yeah, when they want to move, you move now. You don't move, it's now. Mm. So I'm sitting there in 8th Army. And next thing I know, I get the call, and they say, it's 6 weeks of sitting there. And get this, no contact with my family because I was too sensitive. They didn't want my family or anyone to know where Mikey was. So they impounded all my mail. I didn't get my mail, and that's another story. But the whole point was I'm just sitting there with no contact with my new wife of 6 months. I had to leave her in the States. Well, I got this. I hope I'm not boring you two.
No. Hell no.
So anyway, I get the call in the middle of the night, literally. There's a deuce and a half waiting for you. You guys know what a deuce and a half is?
I know what a deuce and a half is. For those of you guys who don't know that are listening right now, it's a big truck.
Yeah, a big truck with a canvas back and wooden benches across.
Yeah, I sat in many of them.
The troops sit on, and there's it's a mess to ride in.
They're like 10 inches long.
Exactly.
So it's good for a guy like me.
Yeah, but it was good. Hey, I was a guy like you, dude. I had a 30-inch waist, and I thought I was a stud. And so I get in the back of this deuce and a half. I have no idea where I'm going. And we go to the edge of Korea, and there's this little rickety wooden bridge
on the DMZ.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're not. We're near the DMZ, so close that this is what happened. As I get to the bridge to cross over into this tiny little island, Randy, I'm not kidding you. You could almost see all the way around it, standing on it, and that was bizarre. And there's all these bunkers, all this stuff. You had a perimeter of soldiers, not a very big cadre, but they were there to guard me and this very small group of people that were listening in on China.
Wow.
And North Korea.
Right.
So we had Korean linguists as well as Chinese linguists. Now, I was one of only 2 Chinese linguists, so we didn't have a big passel of them. And so as I get ready to cross the bridge in the back of the deuce and a half, loudspeakers from North Korea go, "Welcome to Kongwon-do, Mr. Mastani." And they said my name correctly. That was the weirdest thing of all. The North Korean could actually say Mastani correctly. And as I get to the island, I'm freaked out. I go, what was that all about? My own family doesn't know I'm here. Nobody knows I'm here. But the North Koreans do. Mike, there's really nothing secret at all.
Wow.
Because either the housekeeper, the house cleaner, somebody
knew something.
There's a mole, knew something,
dropped the dime.
Got paid, dropped the dime on everybody there. And they said, hey, everybody gets that greeting. We try to, keep it as covert as we can, but it comes out. And I have another story about that later, boys. It'll just blow your mind.
Insane.
That's just them just flipping the big bird anyway.
That is exactly what it was, flipping the bird. You see, that's when you learn that intelligence gathering is like playing chess.
Oh, yeah.
I know who you are. I don't know what your next move is, but I got my eye on you. And so then I spent 6 weeks on that island. Maybe it was longer. It could have been 6 months. It was a long time because my time was, I lost all sense of time because you're either bunkered and you have no contact with family.
Well, you're hard timing it too.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was. So anyway, I'm there and I had an insane talent that I really can't believe I had, but I could type 100 words a minute on a manual typewriter.
Oh, one of the old school ones.
Because that's the way I earned my living
Right.
as a college student. I would type all my fraternity brothers' papers, and I would be making $10. Boys, $10 in 1962 was a lot of money.
No wonder you have so many nice cars.
Oh, I learned. I'm already
saving
a
up since
hustler.
back
You
then.
already knew I'm a hustler. So anyway, I hustled my fraternity brothers with typing. But after 6 weeks of typing not only my own stuff, everybody else's,
Right.
the guy who is in charge of the bunker, of all the intelligence gathering, he goes, "You're being wasted here." And here's what was so funny. Most of my intelligence...
No, they were telling you that you're burning through our typing ribbons, so get your ass out.
Yeah, well, and you know what happened, Chad? It was so interesting, is that my Chinese translation consisted of Chinese pilots getting a piece of ass. Sorry about that out there in Radio Land, but that's what it was. They would talk about their conquests over the weekend instead of what kind of plane they were flying or what they were going to be.
Talking basic soldier talk.
They were talking basic soldier talk.
No matter what country you're in, no matter what
Whether
army.
you're in the air or on the ground.
Yeah, you're talking simple soldier talk. That's pretty interesting, though, to hear that. You must have been laughing. I know I would be.
Laughing my ass off because I'm typing blah, 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 for a good time.
And you know that somebody's going to have to transcribe that, too, later on reading over.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
Did you ever get notice of how a great leader was shooting 48 under par? And did you...
We were just talking about all the rumors about how their great leader does everything perfect. How
the North Korean
guys
dude.
never shit, and
Yeah, he used to never go to the bathroom.
You
know that?
have never lived until you've been on the DMZ between North and South Korea.
One of my brothers from my last platoon, right when we all got out and split up, he was our medic, actually. He went from our unit in Alaska to Korea, and he was there 2 weeks, and he says, "Man, this place is unbelievable."
I mean, just the whole and now, what happened at the end of the 6 weeks? This is the world is small. You think the world is large. Till here I am on a deserted island in Korea. It's between Siberia and Korea. So that's how cold it was, boys.
Oh.
I didn't even know what cold
That
was
North
until
Pacific, I can
Siberian
imagine.
winds. It was just ugly. So then, at the end of 6 weeks, Gail Oxley, who was the commander of the compound guarding us, it was a captain, Army captain, just straight infantry Army captain. He says to me, "Mike, where'd you go to school?" And I said, I went to Principia College in Southern Illinois. And he goes, "You got to be kidding me." I go, "Why?" He says, "I'm married to so-and-so." Her name escapes me now, but I know his name was Gail Oxley. You don't forget people that change your life. I wish I could remember his wife's name. She was cool. I knew her. Mm-hmm. But she and I gone to school together. What are the chances? 500-student liberal arts college in Southern Illinois, and I know his wife.
Yeah, and you're in Korea.
And he goes, "I want you out of here." "You do?" He says, "Yeah, I've already called the CG of the 8th Army. And that's not only Korea, that's Japan, blah, blah. It's a big group."
Yeah.
And his name is Michaelis, and he says he needs a liaison officer, but we don't have an officer with your skills. So we want you to be the liaison officer as an NCO. And so the next thing I know, I get on another deuce and a half, and they deliver me to 8th Army, and I have to be interviewed. And I got there, and there were 1,000 candidates for the position all over 8th Army that had all been sending it in. And I walked in, and I met the officer in charge, who was Michaelis' aide. And when I met the guy I would be replacing, Italian boy.
No, there you go.
Same background, John Bacciali. And we hit it off. We started laughing because we had almost the same exact background down to our wives. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even finish the interview, and Major Thompson says, "You're hired, Mike." He says, "We like you." And all those applicants went out the window. Man, that's when I really became
Get back
religious,
to the line.
dude.
Fall
I'm
out.
not kidding you. I found religion that day.
Yeah, I bet.
Because here's what was so weird. My wife had told the Army to get screwed. They had told her that
yours
she
too?
can't. Yeah. They told her that she couldn't come to Korea because I couldn't have, I couldn't have spousal support. I couldn't have.
Well, back then, they only started bringing spouses to Korea, I think. Actually, you know what? As of now, they don't even have it.
Well,
For a while, they
interesting.
did.
She sold our 2-cylinder Honda. Yeah, we had the Honda car, 2-cylinder Honda 600. Can you believe it? Sucker had a motorcycle engine. She sold that car, bought a one-way ticket to Seoul. She arrived in Korea the day I got the job.
Wow.
Remember, boys,
She's not even supposed to be there.
we had no contact.
Yeah, that's
I didn't even know she was coming
That's
until
a
she
gamble.
got there.
That's a gamble.
Gamble, but I'm saying it's more than a gamble.
No, yeah.
It was like the heavens converged, and oh my God, man hasn't seen a woman as long as I had. My poor wife. Anyway, that's another story. I
And
don't
the
wanna go
Chinese
there.
pilots were over here, and they were
There
intercepting
you
you.
go. They were intercepting me. I love it. Keep it. Mine.
Yeah, yeah. That's the whole reason.
So it was
I love working
wild.
with this guy.
I had a fascinating job being in Seoul, working for General Michaelis, who I saw rarely. My job basically was, again, carrying message traffic and also handling sensitive issues with CIA and all the other intelligence groups that would come into our office from NSA, CIA, ASA. I was attached to what they call the Army Security Agency, and that was right in Arlington, back in Virginia.
And how long did you do that for?
Oh, I did it for a year and a half. It was outstanding.
Yeah, that's an
I
amazing
learned
story.
so much about myself. And what I learned is I learned not to have preconceptions about what CIA looks like, NSA looks like. Ordinary guys. They don't look like James Bond.
No.
They may be wearing, in the spring, a Hawaiian shirt and shorts looking like the average tourist. And because of that, two of those guys became really good friends of mine. Brightest men I've ever met. Kindest and sharpest. They said, "Hey, we're going to give you an adventure today." I go, "I can't hang out with you. I look so obvious. You know, I have a military haircut. You have to be strapped when you drive the General. I mean, you got to be spit and polished, beyond spit and polished. I mean, the car's got to be immaculate. It's like everything's got to be perfect." And so we went together to this little bar. And we're on the outskirts of Seoul, and we go into this little bar. Me with my military haircut, but I'm dressed in civilian clothes. And they go, "Okay, see over that table? Those are the North Koreans. See that table there? Those are the Russians. Table over there? Those are the Chinese." Every country was represented in that bar, boys. And then he goes, they are all, and I forgot this. They're the Romanians. They're the players. The Romanians were the largest intelligence gathering group. And so everybody from North Korea to China to everybody would broker information through the Romanians.
And they're all hanging out at the same bar.
And yet, the Romanians remained neutral. They didn't take sides. They just said, "Hey, we know this is happening in this area, this is happening in this area, blah, blah, blah." But who would ever think that Ceausescu had that kind of clout in the world? But see, that's what you learn. That weird little country had a big impact on the world intelligence gathering.
Oh, yeah, it's always a little country.
So is this too much information?
No.
What's funny is
soaking
what
it up.
you're saying, like with this bar, like you've
was
seen
like a
that in
scene from
movies, but
Star
you see that in
Wars.
movies, and you see that in movies, and you
The
go
band playing.
bullshit. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen. And
That's when I learned we had foreign nationals, in Kern County, in Bakersfield, monitoring our trains, monitoring our water supply, looking at Isabella's water levels.
well, you definitely, especially with the oil reserve out there.
Yeah. And, oh my gosh, the Navy, what is that, naval?
Bechtel up there at Elk
The
Hills.
petroleum
yeah.
reserves.
Yeah. I mean, guys, that's when you learn that, you're not in Kansas anymore.
No, the world opens up to you. I learned that.
That's Matrix Neo type.
Yeah, it is.
Take the pill,
Yeah, and so that's when I hear anybody that gets on their wild hair about we've got to be nice to everybody. I said, dude, people have been stealing information, not stealing, taking information from us.
It's going on right now.
Firsthand everywhere. In Bakersfield, in Kern County.
I was infantry, and RS2 would brief us like twice a year or something.
Sure.
They'd come in, the intel officers, and I was a grunt.
Hey, I was a grunt too, remember?
But,
I told you about my training.
One thing that was interesting to me is that one guy came in one time and he showed us a picture of a space shuttle. He's like, what is that? And we're like, it's a fucking space shuttle, man. Like, okay. He's like, true, but it's not ours. The Russians actually built it. He's like, and the only reasons they weren't able to get it into space and launch it is because they had all the specs. They had everything they needed, but a few things. If they were to only get that, they'd be sending space shuttles into space too. And you were looking at a space shuttle, but the Russians had built it. And, I learned a little bit just working here and there with different entities in the Army and stuff, that the world opens up when you get out there or in the military, and you start exposing yourself to things, even in the infantry, and you get to see exactly what the world is, and it makes you a different person. I wasn't the same person when I got back. Did you find yourself?
I changed totally.
When you came back, obviously, you're totally different, but did your teaching style, did you choose to go into high school? You chose to teach high school right after that?
I'm just going to cut to the chase. I went to D.C., being in 8th Army working for Michaelis, the next thing I knew, because of my work there, guys, I had the greatest job. It was the ugliest job I ever had. Guess what one of my side jobs was? I was the VD officer for 8th Army. You have never lived, boys, until it's your job to Section 8 or whatever it is you do to soldiers who've gotten VD for the second time.
Well, that Korea is the highest. That's the highest.
Oh my gosh!
If you get contracted with syphilis or something in Korea, they don't let you go home. So if you have your orders to go home, let's say you're out the Army and you wait until that's gone. It's big out there. It's still to this day in 2016.
Oh well, I got to tell you, can you imagine me sitting there opposite the desk and I go, I can't believe I'm seeing you a third time.
Well, it's because all them girls over there. Them girls, come here, American boy.
And
we love you long time.
And one of my boys ended up in the Korean Slammer because he dated a she-male. And didn't know it, and he was a virgin. And he discovered that the lady was packing, and he tried to kill her.
Oh.
So we couldn't protect him.
Yeah.
But
it's still like that there.
I will tell you when I shook my head over that one.
I can tell you stories. I've heard stories from my medic and a lot of my other buddies. It's still like that out there. It's bad.
Well, it's pretty weird. You just can't believe. And then the weirdest part, remember I had just 7 guys in that Chinese Mandarin class? Lost complete track of all of them.
That sucks.
As soon as I left the class.
That sucks.
Until I was VD officer.
They all got it.
No. This is so funny to me. I'm sorry, Charlie, wherever you are, I'm ratting you out. His name was Charles Devine. And Charles Devine walks into my office. I had not seen him in 2 years.
Hey, man, something's wrong. It's burning.
Yeah, I know. And it was the second time.
Oh,
so I actually gave him a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
But I was so happy to see him, but so sad that he was, so stupid.
Yeah.
Guys, look, you should know. This is dangerous.
Yeah, they brief you on that.
My
God. Soldiers are soldiers. You get out
there.
there.
Tell me about it. And how about the virgin soldiers? Those are the worst offenders.
And they know.
Because they'd never gotten any action while they were in the States for a lot of reasons. A lot of it's parental pressure or church or a lot of reasons. Then all of a sudden somebody offers to give them a blowjob, and the next thing you know...
And they're completely naive.
They're completely naive.
For $8.
And
we had guys, when I was stationed out here in Barstow for a couple of years, training guys. I was training guys out here for a while. And we had privates that were getting caught up in a Russian wife ring.
Yes.
They were going to these privates and giving them $10,000 cash and they would say, all we need you to do is marry this woman. And so they'd marry this woman. They may or may not even get lucky with her, but they'd get $10,000, and they'd have to marry this lady for a year and then divorce her. What got them caught is that instead of giving them cash, they started buying all these young privates spiders.
Oh, yeah.
So you had in the barracks, you had like probably 15, 20 spiders all parked up, and the chain of command was like, what the fuck is going on?
These are those Polaris spiders?
Yeah, the Polaris spiders,
little trikes.
They look cool, but I mean...
I know.
But it's like, you got this gang of these guys driving them, and so CID, Criminal Investigations, got involved. Come to find out, these dudes were getting paid to marry all these Russian women, because there were a lot of Russian women suddenly working on base too, and you're like, what's going on? The privates always fall
the vodka sales have gone up in the PX. What the fuck is going on
There's
here?
no Smirnoff in the Class 6. No. But yeah, man, it's always the privates. That's an amazing story, Professor M. I'm so glad to finally have you tell that, because that's movie worthy.
Well, can you imagine playing that role? I mean, it was crazy. Well, anyway, I'm trying to think of the dude's name. Isn't that funny? We called him Charlie Two-Star. I think his name was Denholm. But anyway, the ASA commanding general came through, and he liked me. Mm-hmm. And the next thing I know, I'm at NSA as his appointment secretary.
Wow.
So that was a real shock. But it was really cool, because not only did I get to be in the heart of National Security Agency,
right,
I got to be in Washington, D.C.
Which is, if you haven't been there to D.C., I behoove you to
And
go.
Fort Meade, Maryland was interesting. I'll tell you right now.
It's a world of its own. It's a different entity among itself.
And, I thought it was so top secret, Randy. I get there, and I'm going to NSA. And I go there, and there are 10,000 cars in the parking lot. Yeah. All of a sudden, the big dick suddenly becomes a little tiny cipher.
It's humbling.
It's so humbling.
I couldn't imagine that.
Especially after they wheeled you around like Hannibal Lecter, like in all these private these private transportation by yourself. Now
That's
you're
amazing.
one of many.
I know, it was amazing.
Yeah, it's an amazing
But when
experience.
I got to the office, it was remarkable, and I will never ever regret being there and learning what I did. But it was really cool, though, boys. You can't believe what happened to me. Now, I hadn't taught directly for a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and when I got to Maryland, here I am at NSA during the day. One of my friends from school. Beautiful woman. Oh, my God. And I'm married to a beautiful woman. My wife stopped traffic in Korea. Can you imagine having a platinum blonde, 37, 22, 36?
Yeah, those Korean boys don't know what's going on.
Oh, they would come up and stroke her hair.
Oh, God.
And she'd turn around but
yeah.
Well, you had the ones that wanted to be with
guys.
you.
What about all the soldiers?
Yeah. Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I'd be handing out throat punches left and right. I had the same problem.
Dude,
I married a cheerleader, so I understand.
My chest kept getting bigger every day.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to make sure they knew that girl was mine.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to D.C., our beautiful friend Diane, one of the best painters I have ever seen before or since. I mean, she's an artist, and she could just do anything. Well, she was the artist in residence for the University of Maryland, College Park. And she goes, Mike, I'm leaving for a professorship in St. Louis. They don't have anybody to take my place. I'm going to put you up. And now, boys, I paid my way through school as a painter.
Right.
And that's how I did. I paint pictures. I'd find the biggest house in the city as I'm driving through, park my car. I was an art whore.
Yeah.
So now I'm letting it all out.
You're hustling.
So he knows. So I would get my paints out, Randy, and paint the biggest, baddest house as long as there was a car in the driveway. And then as soon as I would get done, it'd be about 2 hours. Either the maid would come out or somebody come out and say, can we see your picture? I said, oh, yeah, it's really pretty. I mean, I really like what you're doing here. This is so cool. And they go, well, we'd like to buy it. I say, oh, I guess I could. $200. Boys, $200 in 1963, 64.
Gas was
that was
13 cents a gallon.
Yes, exactly. It was big money. That's what paid my school.
Yeah, man, you've done it all. You've done the
I was a real bad
You
boy.
are James Bond.
We could write the book, but we could get a letter that says, knock it off. So never mind.
So anyway, I did that for a long time. So anyway, she knew about my painting, and I had actually been published. I'd been in How to Paint Watercolor in North America, and I'd done that on the side besides all my teaching stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so next thing I know, University of Maryland makes me their artist in residence.
Wow.
And they know I'm at NSA, but I can't hold a job, boys. Remember, if you're
Right.
military, you're 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
So I lied like a son of a bitch, and I would teach one night a week for the University of Maryland
While you were still in.
while I was still in.
Wow.
And so I did that for almost 18 months. Talk about learning. It was so interesting being a professor, and this is before I met you, Chad,
Yeah.
and then working at NSA. And I will tell you what, that was the greatest reward of my life.
What got you to Stockdale High back here in Bakersfield? You decided to move back home after all that?
No, my dad became ill
Okay.
and almost lost his life.
That's usually what does it.
And here I am. I had just been recruited by the FBI because, like my infantry friends here, I love to shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I did
It's
everything. I had to be qualified, being the general's aide. I had to be qualified on my 357, my 45, my 38 police, my snub nose.
Right.
Every single month, Chad. One.
Yeah,
Oh
the
yeah,
M16,
forget. I had
M16.
M16.
M16
Yeah.
was
I
just
forgot
coming in.
that. See, I was so busy carrying small arms because I had to carry concealed. The reason I did is that I was the resource, which meant I had to protect my ass 24/7, and it had nothing to do with what I was carrying.
Right. Yeah.
I had to make sure I was protected.
God,
And here I am teaching art, and I'm packing. Can you imagine? It's so weird. Here you are teaching, and underneath you got a 45.
I would love to be in that art class. That sounds like my kind of art class, man.
Yeah, well, it was fun. I had a
That's
blast.
awesome, man. That's so
But
cool.
anyway, it's weird recounting all this. I haven't talked war stories in a long time.
Oh,
so
it's
to be
funny
with
because
you both,
I know you're pressed on time, but
But-
man, see how fast it can go?
Yeah, but what's great is to meet you boys. I see the intelligence here at the table and what you're
thank you.
contributing. It just makes me smile. I'm so glad that you're here. Guys, I taught journalism for a long time.
I had you in journalism.
And what's so weird is that in journalism, you got to remember two things. You don't have to always be a tub thumper. What you have to do is you have to be a researcher. Get all the facts.
That's the hardest part.
That's the hardest part.
People ask us all the time, like, how do you guys do this? How do you guys go in there and go on the microphone and do the videos and do all
You have
this
an hour.
part? The easy part's coming in here. The hard part is actually studying up so that you know what the hell you're talking about. Because, anybody can come talking to a microphone, but you got to know what to say.
Chad doesn't know this, but this is what I have taught teachers in Orange County. You have to prepare.
You always.
If you don't prepare, you're going to think that your shit doesn't stink. Excuse my French. But that's exactly what it is. You have to know, you have to feel prepared. Just like when you're marching a troop, you've got to believe that you're in charge, but you have to feel like you've at least done your homework.
And you can't have an ego. I think that's what I've learned most from you. And you said it earlier.
The egos are in front of you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's your privilege of watching developing egos.
Yeah.
Of people finding themselves, because guys, we don't add to you, we wake you up to who you are. See, that's the most important thing. As a learner, you find out, you accept information that resonates with you. It isn't something that somebody stuck to you like a donkey's tail at a children's party. You know what I'm saying?
I truly believe that teachers are the greatest gift to society. You listening to this man talk, Randy, dude, I mean, you can finally understand how he's affected my life. You have teachers.
Well, good teachers. Let's get this right, because there are paycheck thieves. Right, they hand out homework, and here you go.
Teacher union.
Don't get me started on that, and I don't want to offend anybody. But teacher unions are filled with people who can't teach.
Yeah, but real.
I'm talking
teachers.
about teacher leaders. Sorry, folks. I really believe that. I've seen it firsthand.
Well, real teachers, real people who want to bring the best out of you and share their life experiences and just affect your life in so many ways. You're it for me, and I hope this episode kind of shows people a little bit of where I got it from.
Oh, you're too kind. Remember, it still works both ways.
It does.
How do you think I felt? I I painted a picture. He liked it. And I was so flattered that he got it. Because I painted the picture to be something that was stirred emotions.
You got to remember at the time that
Why do you think I sent it to you?
Yeah, at the time he was painting this painting, I had just got back from my last tour in Afghanistan. Just going through a lot, you know what I mean? Watch my soldier die. Dealing with it was hard, and I was going through. My life was a nightmare. You know what I mean? It was difficult, and I was just scrolling through Facebook. I think I was drunk. Just scrolling through, and I saw that painting, and I said, "Wow!" I said, "I really like that," and I told you, I said, "That painting's amazing. I like it." And I'm going to tell you something I've never told anybody. You mailed it to me, and I was so shocked, and it was I was so happy. I went and I had it matted, I had it framed.
Beautifully done. I'm so honored the way you did it.
I think the colors I picked, it really was just me at the time, and I saw like angry faces in it at the time. I saw like angry, unhappy, sad
faces.
And
so you did see what I was thinking.
And I tell my wife this, that she's the only one I told this to. I go downstairs and I look at that picture now. I don't see those angry faces.
Good.
I see smiles, I see happy. And so that painting, man, just really gave it to me at a time in my life that was just extremely difficult, dealing with the emotions and everything I was dealing with. It was a gift. And you've just given me gift after gift after gift, man. So thank you.
You're my gift. and Randy, I really mean that. He's been a gift to me. And you know why? Because not only is he journey-centered, hell with the destination. Be journey-centered as you are.
It's all about the journey.
Because being in the journey, it means that you're exploring yourself and your friend here. The exchange between the two of you today, I've loved it.
The fact that him and I are doing this together is just that's a gift in itself as well. I mean,
and you're going to have differences of opinions.
Oh, we do all the time. We beat that's part of our job. It's a peer beat the shit out of each other type thing. If somebody gets a little bit out of line or gets, we'll just.
You can't have two guys so opinionated and
I know.
for everything to work out. But it's beautiful, man. And I thank you so much, Professor M, for coming on here.
Well, I need to sign off so you boys can talk about Orlando.
Yeah, well, that's going to be, I think, in a couple of days. I hope this group gets a hold of me because I really want to touch into that. But you know what? We're going to go to lunch later today with some other students.
I can hardly wait.
And it's going to be amazing. So thank you from the Chadman and Randy Show. You always have a home here.
I was going to say this is first of,
you can come on and talk more.
I'm boring, so you guys
are
great.
God, no. I wish we can go longer.
No, I mean, we don't even have to get into your stories like some of you don't want. We can just bring you in and just
talk about
run
topics.
Over news of the day, just shoot.
You're always welcome at the Chadman and Randy Show.
It's been wild being back in Bakersfield. I haven't been here for 3 years. And it's driving to
really?
Town, and they go, well, GPS says get on the West Side Parkway. What the hell is a West Side Parkway?
Freeway to nowhere.
It's a waste of money is what that is.
Well, I was the only car on it.
Yeah, that's
about right. Yeah,
but I mean, it's nice.
It's nice, but it's a waste of money.
I didn't know where
they would have called it a freeway if it actually went somewhere, but since it just dead ends in places.
Well, thank you very much, Professor M. For all you listening out there,
we'll get them to, what we should do is we'll get them to commit, and we can use the phone line every once in a while.
Yeah, we're going to get our phone line hooked up. Well, it's hooked up. We just need to get it, we need to figure it out. And next time you come on, whenever that may be, we'll have people call in, past students and stuff. And
or we can even call him.
Yeah, or either or. Or we can call, we can call you.
So you got something to talk about, so we don't have to keep it,
So I don't have to drive from Laguna Beach?
Yeah, we're getting that whole system figured out, and so we can call you, and we can have ourselves a real big boy show, which we're getting to slowly but surely.
I have loved being with my big boys here, or big voices in Bakersfield. Thank you.
We're getting there. Well, thank you. All right, everybody, this is the Chadman and Randy Show telling you about Freedom Fest on July 2nd at B Riders. We got the Aviators, Rearview Mirror, and Il Tiempo. Come celebrate America, man. $7 pre-sale, $8 at the door. Get your tickets now. This is the Chadman and Randy Show. Out.